All right, guys. I think you're hearing me clear. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's show. I'm so honored to be part of this partnership. I have already spoken to Alyssa and Gennady before on my previous webinar, and now I am happy to forge a new partnership with different brands under AppSumo. So allow me to introduce to you with each other, but first I'd like to read the guest speaker's information background. So the guest speaker is Allisa Lindo. She's 28 years old from Malmo, Sweden. She's the growth marketing manager of Brandox and has previously worked in public relations. The guest speaker for today is Allisa. The host speaker is Gennady Batrakov. He is the CEO and founder of Blogly. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Teresa, very nice to meet you. I've seen Brandox, and I look at this. I mean, you are on the AppSumo, and Blogly as well is on AppSumo. So branding has always been the hot point for me. So branding, and I want to know a little more about branding. I guess there are many listeners who would listen this. They would like to know about branding. What is it branding all about? Why branding? How to brand? So we can go over this question. And also very important is content marketing and branding. So how they will work together.
Sure. And at any point, feel free to stop me because I'm a bit of a nerd about these things.
Okay.
Right. So I think the first thing to talk about here is that a lot of people who don't work directly with branding, so, brand managers, marketing managers, and so on, they find the topic of branding to be rather intimidating. And I can sort of understand that because there's a lot of words that flow around in this
Yeah.
space. There's a lot of vocabulary, and and I know that we as marketers don't often take the time to stop and explain these things to people. So people sort of go, okay, no, that's like a marketing thing, that's a comms thing, let them deal with it, without understanding that branding is a collective effort with a company. Because if you don't have a focus on the branding from the beginning of a company and focus on it throughout the cycle of the business, you sort of lose touch with the main points of communicating with your customers.
Yeah.
So to summarize, branding is what your customers understand about your company. It's the look, it's the voice, it's the tone of the company, it's how they understand what it is you have to offer them and what they can expect from you. So I think this is sort of the easiest way I can introduce people to the idea of branding and its value to the business, because it's not just something that you think about when you hit a certain employee size. This is something that you have to constantly have. You don't have to have tons of brand assets or like tons of documentation and things like that, but you do need to have a branding mindset from the beginning of your
Okay.
company.
Now the very next question that very important that I always think, okay, when I starting out, I'm small. Do I really need branding? How the branding works for me? Maybe like when I was starting, I said, okay, I'll think about branding when the time comes. Now I'm having two important tasks right now. So I need to do my software, I need to do the features and everything. Think about what to give a suggestion to those people like myself. Now I'm okay. I spend a little more time now of the branding when I started of the Blogly, because I've done 7 apps before Blogly, and trust me, I've done so many mistakes. So, and we're gonna talk about errors and mistakes as well. So, what would be your suggestion?
Right. So again, this is why I say that branding is it's more than just your logo, but that's sort of the thing that people associate most clearly with branding. So if I look at a logo for a company, what does that logo tell me, right?
Yeah.
If you want to back it up even more, the first and the most important question you want to ask yourself is, what is it about my company I want people to understand? So I'll take you through like Brandox, for example, and our journey is a little bit different because our team already comes from a branding and marketing background. So this was already like top of mind for us. So if you look at our logo, for example, it's like the name of the company itself alludes to what it is we want people to understand about us. So Brandox is brand documents put together. Brandox. What do we have to do? We
Okay.
want branded documentation. So like that's one way to think about it. If you look at the logo, it's a paperclip in the shape of a bee. So it's like, hey, we're all about organization. That shows up in the brand material that we produce. Sort of like this idea of what is it I want people to understand about me, and how do I put that into the stuff that I'm producing? And branding matters for things like your software as well. I know we're going to talk about content and stuff like that, but I think sort of one of the things I go super nerdy about is that when you're building an app or any type of software, the way that you write things inside of your software also is part of branding, because it helps people understand, oh, they're speaking to this type of audience in their app and in their, out of app communications. The type of language you use, that's also part of branding. And so I'll put it this way. You're probably already thinking about branding, but in a different way.
Yeah, true.
So there's a lot that goes into branding, but it's just, I think as marketers, sometimes we don't, as I said, we don't stop to help frame this better for other people. So we sort of keep it as our own little thing, like, oh, this is mine, like this is my territory, go away.
Yeah.
I think that's the wrong way to go about things, because we're all already talking about branding, but we're just using different vocabulary and different ways of understanding things.
Yeah. Many people think, and of course myself, I think that branding starts with very first impression that you give on a homepage. So if you can give a few points about your homepage, when I look at this, of course, the image, what your message you're going to say, your font styles, your colors, your layout, is everything tells me about your brand. And of course, what are you trying to say? For example, on this one, what also was one of my biggest thing when I was working on the homepage. I was just thinking, what the first about the fold, what should be there? So can you explain a little bit more about, on your perfect example, looking at your homepage, can you give more details about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I'll say about our homepage is, and this is also another thing about branding, we're constantly revisiting things. So the homepage that you see here is not the homepage that you would have seen at the beginning of 2020. We've changed it completely. The other is we wanted to, a big thing in our brand guidelines is like make bold statements. So top you have save time searching for brand assets. Like that's our bold statement. This is our value prop to help you save time. But we also wanted to keep things like really simple, so you can focus on the bold statement, because simplicity is a core part of what we do.
Yeah.
The image itself that you see there, there's actually a lot of debate that went into the.
Yeah, you can tell me a little more in details, because I don't know. I have my kind of hunch. What is why and what and what you were saying, but you tell me about that.
Right. So the first thing is we wanted it to seem a bit more open and inviting, because before we had a product shop, which wrong with that. That's fine if you want to have a picture of your UI. It's just to show people immediately what they're getting themselves into. But we wanted to show people that, we're interested in the human side of things. We're interested in the user and not just, the software.
Yeah.
So another one of our brand guidelines is be user friendly always. So this is, we have this smiling woman, and, she's got she definitely has this feel about her, like she's easy to, sort of work with. She's got her tattoo. So it's like, we're not traditional.
It's
There's a lot of debate.
Yeah, instantly I have a question. Should I change that? Should I also rework my homepage? Because my homepage, of course, shows the software. Okay. You just pointed out, of course, optimism and the smile, always work and always will be there. The top priority for people, because it makes the good association and good relationship. The software sometimes it appears too cold and no emotions. So yes, putting a person there on a page is the key, right?
And this is something my colleagues can tell you. I've been very passionate about this. I remember going into a meeting when we decided to redesign the website. I remember saying we need people, and I don't need to just see an outline of a person. I need to see a face, because if you're making this for me, I wanna be able to connect with the software somehow. I need to and the value prop immediately, and I need to sort of imagine myself using this software. So it's that's sort of what we went into this thinking. And again, it goes back to what is it that we want people to take away from the experience of being on our website. And this is a constant game of revisiting things and trying to take a fresh perspective. So there are certain things about the page, like the text itself, that will definitely change as time goes on and as we evolve as a company. But the primary things that you see there will be the same. The people focus, the fact that we want you to connect as a person and as a user first before you go into the understanding of our software. So these are the things that we prioritize as a team, because we think that this is what our users will take away from the experience. And I think having that conversation with your own team is always a great place to start. So if you just highlight, like, these are the things we want people to take away, if it's 2 or 3 things, and then going from there and saying, okay, how does our existing brand assets or existing website, how does that reflect the things that we have just discussed? And you keep that as a conversation. Branding is a conversation, and I think that we don't say that enough.
How do you think, what kind of errors and mistakes people make from beginning when they start on a branding? What do they do wrong in a lot of cases? But of course, everybody has their own problems and own things that they can improve. But tell me what the most common things.
Yeah, so I'm so glad you asked me that question, because this gives me an opportunity to go really deeply. I think the first thing is that no one really owns the branding, especially in smaller teams. So again, it goes back to the idea that we have to hit a certain size before we can really focus on this. And I think you miss out on a lot of opportunities in that case. And something that we've really embraced is having our users be part of the process of developing our brand. So sometimes in conversations, I will ask, like, so what did you think about this? Or did you like that presentation that we did? Or what did you think about that? And they can sort of give you feedback on that. But yeah, no one really owns the branding in smaller teams. So you don't have someone to go to say, yeah, we need to revisit how this looks. We need to think about what this is like. And you don't have to be a branding expert. You just have to be someone that's interested in following the evolution of your brand. And I think that's also what makes things intimidating for people, because people think you need to have a certain amount of knowledge to be able to do this. But really, it's just you have to have an understanding of the company and where you want to go. And another thing is that people try, and if you have the money to hire like a branding agency or a marketing agency.
Well, it's kind of hard. It's kind of
yeah, I know, it's quite hard. But if someone were to have the money for that, you happen to be among the privileged few.
Oh, that's the question now. What do you think what's the budget should be for those things?
See, now this is the thing. There's really a set budget, and I'm speaking at this as someone who comes from the agency side as well, because
are you talking like enterprise? Yeah, enterprise can open a wallet, no problem. But you're talking,
exactly.
Yeah, but you're talking about small person.
Yeah, but small businesses don't have the money or the budget.
Small. I have only a few people. So for me, people, a small team, of course, I'm looking at every possible penny. What do you recommend as far as, looking at the budgets and looking at the best, let's say, direction to spend money? Of course, branding is big. You're talking about everything. It's not just about logo. It's not just about colors. Is there any way to cut the corners and say maybe get some essence of the branding? Even if I would hire someone, would it be like the whole blown branding work, or could be like certain things could be trimmed out and say what should be done?
Right. So I think the first thing is when it comes to the actual graphic assets that you're working with, those are really important. So if you don't have the in-house capabilities to do things like your logos, I was going to say images, but the truth is you can actually do a lot with stock photos. Unless you have
personally
yeah.
I hate stock photos.
I know they can be. I think the mistake a lot of people make with stock photos is that they use the same ones over and over. So you keep seeing the same stock photos quite a lot, and they can be quite fake feeling. But the thing is, there are quite a few. I'm trying to remember now. There's a few new ones, and I know that AppSumo actually has had a couple that they have had deals with recently, where they have stock photo banks that are a bit, niche, very specific. So that may work. But you can get a lot out of stock photos if you are sure to not use the ones that. The one I keep seeing everywhere is it's like a party photo where it's like a group of women standing around in the outdoors somewhere, and they're holding like what do you call those? Oh, I can't remember the English word for them. But sparklers, that's it. But yeah, so they're holding sparklers, and I've counted now in the last month. I've seen that photo in 5 different websites. So
yeah, it's very common. Very common.
Yeah, but if you're not doing product photos or main image photos, elsewhere in your branding you can mix stock photos. But when it comes to your graphic assets, you definitely need to pay attention to those because you're going to be using those a lot more than you realize. So things, and I know that this sort of comes off as quite self-serving because this is exactly what Brandox works with. But as coming from an agency perspective, when you build things like your website, you need a high quality logo. You need the high quality graphic materials, and you need your branding guidelines to make sense. And I think these are places where you really don't want to sort of go for the lowest from an agency, because those are the things that are going to represent your company. If you want to save money on like a website, for example, there's some really good no-code options. Webflow is one. So if you have an idea and some like graphic knowledge or like web design knowledge, definitely just, try and get a good landing page up, something to work with. And then down the line, you can bring in people who have a specific expertise. So maybe look into those as an option as well. And I think it's, I would say the graphic stuff is the stuff you really don't want to
See, maybe I started with like kind of too early with this question about the budget, because it probably should have been the last one, but it's okay. You can forgive my ADD. I'm going sometimes too.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I think it's good because you're keeping me on my toes, and I like that.
So I'm showing right now my website. So believe me, I spend a lot of time figuring out what to put there and how to make this as a more like a branded. Of course, the character was chosen was specifically I ordered, it was a custom made, and of course the designer made it just for me. So I was using the characters, but right now I just moved those characters somewhere. I mean, I have a lot more of those. So, but I just didn't want to put a lot of them in the same page. I just removed them. This is my best shot after years of trying, believe me. And I know I'm still not perfect. Again, this is not an easy, but at the same time, can you give me a few points here, so on the top? So what I could improve? I understand that showing the people may be a great idea. Is anyway, do you think that replacing the custom made image with the image of the, say, smiley person, will it work for me? What would you say?
So let me ask you a question in response to the question. What do you feel that custom image gives to your customer? Do you think that helps reinforce that bold statement that you have there?
Yeah, let me tell you just a few words. Okay. Bloggly is a content marketing platform, content management, and a content creation. It helps online business to create and manage the content. But not only that, our final goal is to create a marketplace for the ready to sell content. So this is what I'm trying to say. So you create the articles, you create your content, and you deliver it to a marketplace. So this is my primary message, and this is my goal inside sitting. This is my final destination where I see Lugly, because there's creating the content is one thing, but now exchanging the content, making easy and simple transactions, because buyer wants the content, the seller wants to create and sell the content, and I provide a tool for the content, so you can create easier original content. And the whole point is about originality. So I'm not trying to say about that we are original, we stand up for originality. We want to provide the help people who wants that.
Okay, so the focus on originality here is fantastic, and I like that you have that highlighted in a different color in one of your accent brand colors. I think that's great. I am curious though, and now this is the
yeah,
growth
okay.
marketer side coming in. I am curious if you were to run an A/B test on your headline, with that secondary headline, the create content that sells and drives traffic. I wonder if that would work as well. That's just my curiosity. But just from a purely branding perspective, I think the sparing use of your accent color, pink, I'm guessing that is.
Yeah, it's not pink. I'm sorry.
It's not pink. It's no, sorry. My screen. Sorry, I have to be honest. My screen resolution has gone weird the last few days. So.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know how to. Yes,
it's fine. But it's a great color. It catches your eye and it draws me immediately to the word original in both areas. And you also have it for increase your website traffic. So my eye is naturally following those things. Therefore, that's the information I'm taking away from this.
Okay.
I think you could go a little bit bolder with your image that's next to the word there, because I can see like the marketplace is reflected in the fact that, you know, your cartoon person is.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I already was told that maybe marketplace is too big for me. Maybe I shouldn't focus on that. Maybe my direction should be just having a software that only with the content, don't get into marketplace. I've been told many times, so it's okay. Yeah.
If that's the direction that you are taking your customer, then there's nothing wrong with showcasing that immediately as soon as they get on the page, because that's a piece of information for them, and they're like, oh, interesting. I do think you could go like a little bit bolder with that image, like maybe I don't know, adding something else there just to sort of spice it up. But this could
again, I'm also just like yourself. I'm into simplicity, so I'm just trying to keep it simple as possible.
You know what? Fantastic. So my input here as someone who comes into your website is that I can see where your focus is as a business, and I can understand that focus quickly by seeing the page. So I don't think you need to do any heavy changes here, and I like that it's clear. But again, like for you as someone that is focusing on the branding of your business, these are the questions that you sort of ask yourself each time. So whenever you hit, I've said this a couple of times before, so anyone who happens to be listening to this, as well as the previous website I did with will hear this. But every time you hit like a significant milestone for your business is a great time to go back and look at your branding and say, does this still match up with where I want to go? Anytime business makes a change, a transition, you go back, does this still match up with where I'm going?
Yeah.
So that's something for you to think about, since we just had this conversation about if you're going to have a marketplace or not. That when you have that decision within, you know, your business or within yourself internally, then that is a great time to go back and say, all right, does this still match up with what I'm hoping to accomplish as a business?
Yeah, you're right. But the only one thing is, I mean, when anyone doing any kind of business, is always you have to go back and check and test and retest and recheck again. You're suggesting that A and B testing is great. So can you give an idea how to do the A and B testing? Because for me, it's also a kind of a dark area. Okay, I'm small, not that big on the marketing, so I'm still learning. A/B testing. So what do you suggest?
Okay, so with live websites, Google has a few options here. We at Brandox, we use Optimizely. That's not through Google, that's its own thing. But Optimizely is a really good tool for sort of,
Optimizely.
yeah. And but Google has within its suite like its own A/B test tools, so you can definitely utilize and maximize those. And basically, what it does is you can create basically identical pages, but just
Yeah.
change
So
content and test which ones work better.
so what it does actually, it's switches and flip-flops the different pages
Yes.
for different users and records the results, how long they stay, what are they looking for, and basically you make a judgment based on the A and B testing.
Yeah. And I think again, that's another thing that is often intimidating to a lot of people, like the process of testing and collecting data. But I think Google in particular has quite a lot of really good tools for doing exactly this sort of thing. And I mean, they have integrated A/B testing into a lot of their products. So for example, Google Ads, you can create 3 different versions of the same ad within a campaign group, and it will tell you which ads are performing better, and you can choose to work with those ads instead. So I think Google, for someone that has a small budget and is just trying to get things done, Google's great. Another thing for websites in particular that we've used is Hotjar for heat mapping to just sort of track where people go on the site. Again, Google Analytics is pretty good for sort of seeing the flow of people. So this has been like the moment I realized this in going through like Google Analytics training, I was like, this is great, fantastic.
That's another question is branding and analytics. So you mentioned Optimizely. Optimizely, I'm gonna check Optimizely, so it's kind of interesting. But you gotta have some traffic, some decent traffic, right? Otherwise, if I have only say a few thousand people on a website yet, is it enough? How much is enough to give you the
So that's a really good question. The thing with A/B testing is you're not gonna get good data if you only have like a few hundred people to test this on.
Yeah, not enough.
So that won't work if you don't have a lot of traffic. In that case, your money is probably better spent on doing SEO and content work. And that is where you're gonna, it takes time because SEO is not a quick fix. And I try to, really push this. SEO, to get results, you're talking in terms of months, not weeks. But really just do some SEO groundwork. What keywords are you focused on? What are some easy wins? So we have this concept of low-hanging fruit. And that worked really well for Brandox in the beginning. And something else that we did was this idea of, this is going to sound really mean, but it's not, brand jacking. So writing how-to guides and articles on other brands that people are already searching for that fall within your sort of niche. So that sort of brings people in. Now, the problem with doing something like that when you're doing content work is a lot of that traffic that you're going to get is going to go to like your blog post, for example, and then they're going to go right back out. So you need to figure out a way to sort of keep people in your website, sort of pull them through to another page to get more interested in the content that you offer. So that's one thing with content marketing. With SEO work, that's always something you can do with your website in general without doing lots of blog posts. If you do anchor content, so you don't, what I mean by anchor content is instead of doing, constant updates to blog posts, if you don't have that time, you pick a small niche articles to do, or a small niche of articles to do, and you focus on making that the best, most informative content ever.
Your pillar posts, right?
Yes, exactly. So you focus on that, the stuff that's really going to get people to key into your website and see that you have something to offer. You build on that, and you will appear in the search results as trusted content. So I would say for a lot of people, even though SEO is something that we've been talking about for 10, 15 years, for however long, people there's still so much room to win in SEO because it's not something a lot of people are focusing on, even though we talk about it all the time.
You know, I somewhere I saw the percentage of the people who actually pay attention to SEO on a blog post, even though there's lots of hundreds of millions of blog posts out there. So to compete, of course, you have to outsmart, you have to outperform, you have to outwit. So all of this is important, and SEO plays huge part in it. So the percentage of the people who actually pay attention to SEO is relatively small. So I was wondering, I somewhere I saw it like it's less than 10% of people actually giving extra effort to SEO. But of course, the primary reason, because it's difficult. It's just it's not the simple things like you snap your fingers and SEO is done. So you need to know what you're doing. You have to have tools for that. Without tools, you just cannot do it. Just cannot. I mean, without tools, it's very difficult. So you need to do this testing. But what do you do? Say branding and SEO. Are you like focusing on specific keywords? How you do that? I mean, are you finding certain things? I mean, what do you do to win in this SEO strategy?
Yeah. Now, the main tools that people talk about in terms of SEO, they tend to be sort of pricey. So we're talking mods, Ahrefs, all of those. But there are some really nice plugins, particularly for Chrome, that give you some great information. So one that I'm a big fan of is called Keywords Everywhere.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah. So Keywords Everywhere is one. Yeah, and the thing is, even with tools like the big ones where you pay lots of money, tools like Keywords Everywhere are still great because as you're searching for things live,
I'm talking about searching keywords, because this is the only thing they do is help you to find the right keyword.
Yes, but this can be really helpful in setting what your focus is going to be for SEO.
Yeah.
So if you want to figure out what people are looking for, it does tell you as well, like people also search for, and give you a better idea of the sort of things that you can focus on when you're doing SEO work for your website and for any pillar content that you want to write. And in terms of on-site SEO, another one that I've used is Seo Minion, I think it's called. And what it does is it gives you, it looks at the page and it tells you like the main SEO thing. So what are the headlines on here? What is the meta description? Things like that. So it sort of gives you an idea of where you can improve things. And it can also show you what your website looks like in search results.
How much are you paying attention to, like, okay, you found the keywords, you're searching for a specific one that relates to your brand, relates to your niche, right? So let's say you build your niche is in managing assets for branding, specifically for branding. So of course you select probably a few keywords that are really, really, really important to you, right? So what do you do about them? I'm talking in relation to content, because, okay, you got only a few pages. We all have a few pages, so say home page, some features pages. But other than that, in order for Google to find you, you have to have lots of content. And this content have to be all around those keywords, right? So are you doing like inserting the keywords into your blog post? And I'm looking right now into your blog, right?
So our blog is actually like the main focus going forward, because we've started overhauling our content because we realized that we didn't have enough pillar content to really like take advantage of SEO. So in about 2 weeks, you're going to be seeing a lot more content on there. But yeah, so let's take these last few posts that you see here.
Yeah.
Something that we've done is we've really gone into like sort of driving in why it is we do what we do, to sort of like explain our content. But then we also do content with our users. So we have a few things there from our users highlighting exactly what it is they've gotten out of Brandox, and also with them about the specific thought leadership stuff they have to offer. So that's if you go to a couple of the other posts, you'll see some great content from our users. Like I think we have one on IPOs. Yeah, there's one like how to get your brand ready for an IPO. So sort of things to keep in mind if you want to go public.
Okay, let me see on the IPO. For IPO, this one, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
And I guess you're using the WordPress, right, for that?
Yeah, so this is a WordPress site, and this is another thing that we were using a different platform to host our content, but then we realized that for longer term stuff, like WordPress would work better for us as a team.
Yeah.
So we decided to go with, of course, we have like in-house people who already work with web design on WordPress. So we took advantage of their skills, and we said, hey, we want to build a website on WordPress, so let's do that. And it's really great because it helps, like for me, when I'm updating content and doing content review, it's very easy to sort of get an overview and to update things like the meta description for things, because you can do that quite easily in WordPress. So
how about I just want to ask you, would you like to try the blog list? This is exactly what we're focusing on.
Yes, I'm actually like really interested in Blockly, because this is stuff that I also had like how I got into growth marketing is I was in public relations, then content marketing, and then more growth hacking.
Separate. I will give you separately one-on-one demo, so you'll spend as much time as you need it. As much time as you need it. We'll onboard you. I will help you with understanding everything, because I noticed that when I do a demo, sometimes the demo goes off for 1 hour and a half, and it's just not yet even enough for someone to cover all the details, because we do have lots of details. But anyway.
But that's great. So that's something that can really help someone that's focused on building out their SEO and content strategy. That's fantastic.
Yeah, of course. So another question is, let's say when you are working on your branding, let's say you got your logo, you got your colors, you got now your keywords figured out that you need for your brand as well, right? The keywords is a huge part. So you're using for that, you said the keywords everywhere, right? Keywords everywhere. So what do you do for, are you do more deeper analysis of the SEO, like any other software that you use?
Yeah, so we actually use Ahrefs. So that is, or Ahrefs.
Ahrefs. Yeah. That's quite expensive. Quite expensive.
Yes, it is. It is quite expensive. But for us, it's been really helpful in understanding exactly what our content gaps are. And that's actually one of the reasons why I said earlier that we're overhauling our whole blog. So the way that it's appearing now is not how it will be soon. Because so Ahrefs is expensive, and it takes a bit of time to fully understand all the reports and things that it offers you.
Yeah.
But we've had a few key things come out of spending time with it, and you really have to dedicate the time to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing. Don't buy something if you're not sure that you will either like have the time to focus. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell anyone listening, definitely get Ahrefs. It's like, get it if you have the time and resources for it.
Right. Yeah. What's the point? Yeah. If you don't.
Yeah, it's a waste of money otherwise. So we've gotten they have really good content gap reports, so we can compare ourselves to competitors, like people within the same space as us.
Yeah, they're good about them.
They're ranking for, and ones that we like they're ranking for, but we are not. Helps us identify opportunities for the kind of content that we could be writing to get seen by the people searching for this content. So that's been really helpful for us. And another thing is it helps us sort of track internationally where we are in terms of search results. So being able to see, okay, this is what we're ranking for in the US versus this is what we're ranking for in India. That's been really helpful as we develop our strategy. So sort of something that we're doing going into 2021 is doing more targeted marketing in certain markets. And Ahrefs has been fantastic for this in terms of how we develop our content going forward. So we know that like our content will rank differently in different areas of the world. On, a number of factors, and understanding those factors has been really helpful in developing our long-term content strategy. So that's why we chose to invest in something like Ahrefs. But again, this is not for a smaller, I mean, we are small, but we are an internal startup, so we didn't go the normal startup route of typical businesses. So we do have a little bit of capital to back us up when we make decisions like this.
Okay.
So it's not a possibility for absolutely everyone, but if you find yourself in a position where, okay, I have the money to spend on this and I have the time to dedicate to understanding these reports, actually putting them into action, then fantastic, use Ahrefs or a similar product.
Yeah, great. Now, the one question is, it's kind of what's always been for me is I'm always interested in this. When I write the content, and I start writing the content myself, this like a couple of years ago when I realized how difficult it is. This is why, and this is why I created the bloglet to help myself first. But the one question I always puzzle when you write content, and it looks like you write yourself content, right?
I write a lot of
content. Talking about branding and writing blog, the voice, what you say, how you say it. Tell me a little more all this, because I want to know, because I realize for me, I just kind of draw a certain conclusion, what I'm going to do, and I decide that I'm going to be totally open. I'm write who I am. I write from myself. I don't try to copy someone. I'm just doing, if I say a statement, I'm going to say my own statement, especially when I write like sequence letters, newsletters. When I do the newsletters, I say I put it aside any kind of template. I just write what I think is should be there.
Yes, I think that's a fantastic approach. So our tone of voice is actually part of our internal brand guidelines, and this is something we spent time as a team writing down. So what we actually, we were looking at it earlier today. I have it like in the other room, but I'll just give you the highlights. So for direct user communications, specifically like our chats and our product emails, we try to be as direct and as professional as possible. So it's very straightforward and simple. For our blog and social media, we go for a more slightly friendlier, humorous approach.
So you basically can specify in 2 words. What's the tone of voice you're using, and what kind of position you take, who you are basically behind the content, right?
Yeah, direct, friendly. Those are the two like
direct, friendly. Okay.
Yes. So and we try to keep things as simple as possible, because that is the whole point of our brand.
Nobody wants the complexity. Trust me. I've dealt with so many customers. Everybody asks, I just want to have it simple. So, so no matter what, simplicity
wins. And it's surprising how often companies don't realize that, because sometimes they get so caught up in trying to do or trying to show thought leadership that they use like really intense intense words, and that intimidates your customer rather than informs them. So this was something that we've definitely made that mistake in the past, and then that sort of helped us realize, oh, let's not do that again. Our brand is simplicity. Let's be simple in all of our communications. So that's something that we try to focus a lot on, and we remind each other as a team when we're developing stuff that this is what we want to do. So for our blogs and social media, as I said, we try and take a more like humorous approach, especially on social media. We try and we go a bit, we do a few more jokes, but again, this depends on the platform. So a platform like LinkedIn, you definitely want to be more serious, because it is a professional focused platform. But on Facebook or Twitter, for example, there you have a bit more flexibility, especially Facebook, because people are mostly interacting on Facebook as themselves, as a person, and not as someone within a company. So you definitely can be a little bit more friendly there, but you have to be a bit aware that you're still a company.
Talking about differences on the platforms. So you're talking about, okay, LinkedIn, we got the Twitter, we got the Instagram, we have blogs, right? We have Facebook. So what's the difference would be say, okay, we understand LinkedIn, and I realized that, LinkedIn doesn't, surprisingly, what everybody thinks, B2B business should be on LinkedIn. And I noticed that I don't have a lot of traction on LinkedIn. Everybody is kind of too far away. They stay away from each other. They're trying to be so polite. So it's not, I mean, it's not really live platform to me. Like, it's a little bit kind of, it's like, okay, it's too dry, to me, too dead. So I'm not going even LinkedIn. So I'm not even trying on LinkedIn. But I noticed that Facebook groups is a lot more, because I was trying, before I was thinking of Facebook as only for the retirees going and discuss their dinner they had on some Christmas party and how much they ate, and this is all about was a Facebook, and I was always staying away. I had an account, but I stay away. Then I met the groups, and I realized, oh geez, the groups are totally in business. They're full business, completely opposite what was my impression of the Facebook. So I discovered something for myself, and it was kind of interesting surprise.
I'll tell you this, what you've discovered is also what Facebook has discovered. Facebook groups are the part of the platform that is actually and Facebook is investing a lot in developing groups. And I can tell you this, like, not from a business side of things, but I'm actually a moderator for a few travel groups on Facebook. So I see this from like the moderator side of things as well. And Facebook is investing a lot in groups. So they're developing more tools. They have a lot more stuff coming in the pipeline. I won't say anything because NDAs are involved.
Are you like a tester for them?
Not me personally, but a couple of the groups that I have moderated for.
Interesting.
So this is what I'm saying. Like, they're investing a lot into their groups because they realized what you realized. Because overall, Facebook is actually losing users because they're not pulling in the younger generation.
They can lose out of a few billion users. They can lose a few. So
they can afford it. They can definitely afford it. But they realize that the groups are sort of going to be the cornerstone of their business going forward. So they're investing a lot in adding more functionalities to groups and giving moderators more powers and so on. So that's definitely an area where they're going to be developing. But when it comes to, building the brand for your business, you sort of have to decide on the tone of voice that you want to set across different platforms. And I'm just going to say really quickly here that just because we're talking about Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all these things, it doesn't mean that you have to be on all of these platforms. If you go into social media, choose the platform first that you feel like your users are going to be on, and one that you're going to be the most comfortable on, and focus your energy there. For example, we don't use Twitter as much. Like, we have a Twitter account, but we haven't used it in a while because we just didn't have the resources, like the time to invest in LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So we made a decision: no Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Same here. I cannot do it all, and many people actually don't. Whoever is hearing right now, I can guarantee 98% probably say, "Oh, I just got no time." And I only have a time maybe for one platform, and maybe I can just put my efforts. But doing everywhere requires today. If you want to succeed in anything today, you have to like zoom in and focus your energy. But you cannot zoom in on a number of, say, 10 different platforms and try to spreading your efforts. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. But I will say this: something that we found that works on LinkedIn is actually more personal posts. So we posted like our most successful post on LinkedIn so far.
You're still on the success. You're probably the first one I see.
No, but this is the thing. We have over 400 followers for our LinkedIn page, which is it took off this year for some reason because we were at like 60 for a while, and then we started posting more and that helped. But one thing that we did was we posted a picture of one of our like team development meetings. So it was like our two co-founders having a discussion.
Okay. So just like we do right now, we openly
yeah, exactly. So we posted that, and it, it got so much, it got like a bunch of likes and hearts, like reactions, and people going, yeah, greatness in progress and things like that. And people shared it.
Yeah.
So it was, I'm finding that with LinkedIn, even though it's a professional platform, and that is the tone that we use on LinkedIn, the more behind the scenes content definitely gets a lot more attention than the super formal
you know what I noticed that works, and actually it's for me working, that I stuck with originality and just want to be original everywhere. So even if you, even in the news feed, even if you just doing something that you want to post something, so just try to be yourself, try to be original. Don't try to be someone else. That's important. So if you try to get in the content, if you try to be someone else, it's not gonna work.
And that goes across the board for everything that we've discussed today. And I think that is, I know this is one of those things that you feel like everybody knows this, but because branding and marketing can be so intimidating, a lot of people end up trying to copy what others do.
Exactly.
It's always a bad thing, because sometimes you can learn a lot from seeing what your competitors are doing. You can definitely learn a lot, but the key is to learn, not imitate.
Yeah.
So if you learn as much as you can from, say, your 3 closest competitors or the people closest in your space, it also helps to think, what makes me different from them and how do I capitalize on that? That goes for your branding, marketing, everything involved in your business. If you can show how you are different from them, that stands out a lot more for your target audience than trying to do like a really weak imitation of something. So I think that's always a key thing to highlight, is originality. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, it is important. So we got to say a few minutes. So I just want to have a couple of questions that are kind of always interesting. So brand and trust. So now building the trust, because I know from my personal experience that trust is so much important between your customers and yourself. So how branding can help trust, and what does it mean branding help trust from your perspective? How that trust, because building trust is number one between you and the customer, and but how you do it, using a brand assets or branding, tone of voice, so what that would be.
So again, I'm going to go back to my nerdy thing about content and specifically content marketing. But you said it, tone of voice. That says a lot. So if you set the tone for how you want to communicate with your users across all platforms, owned media, earned media, all of that stuff, it helps your customer understand you, and it helps them to build that trust in you because they know what to expect. Now, I think that I'm trying to remember the exact saying here, but it's that essentially trust is, it's difficult to earn, but it's easy to break. Like you can, if you are not original, if you are not honest,
you break it. You break
instantly. Yeah, and there's really no way to get that back. So the truth is, the moment you lose that level of trust with a user or with a customer, that sticks. But also we have to remember that in this super connected, globalized society that we live in, you're not breaking trust with just that user. You're breaking trust with their entire circle of influence.
Circle of trust. Remember that movie, Circle of Trust?
Yes. So perfectly fitting. But it's true. I mean, so everyone has probably heard about influencer marketing, and
that's a big thing, right? It's already passed.
It's a big thing. But I know. But like that's the whole point of why influencer marketing got so big in the first place, is because it was relying on the trust between this person that was well known and the people that they had influence over. And the moment that any influencer went out of out of that to basically seem like, oh well, I'm just doing this for the money, that trust was broken. And their audience no longer bought those products or didn't feel inclined to really listen to what they were saying anymore. So that works for companies and brands too. So you have to always be aware of like whatever the information you're putting out, you sort of have to stick with it. So I for like our AppSumo launch, for example, the first 2 days of our AppSumo launch, and I'm sure it was the same for you, were very intense. We had a lot of questions and people were, you know, really like digging in, and they were asking questions that I was like, I don't even know what they're saying here. And then I had to like bring in our CTO, like, Christopher, what is this person saying? I don't understand. So whenever we were answering those questions and people were like, will you add this feature? Will you add white labeling? Will you add this?
Yeah.
Before we said yes to anything, we sat down as a team and were like, is this something we're willing to commit to? Because this is something we're going to have to deliver on. And we said yes. And that is something that immediately went on our product roadmap. So we're like, okay, we're committed to this thing. We have to deliver it.
Yeah.
We've publicly committed to it in this scene. And that's something that we take very seriously because you have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
If we go back on our word now to Sumolings, for example, it's not just them that we're breaking that trust with. They're going to go to their Facebook groups because they're going to go and say, well, Brandox said that they were going to do this thing and then they didn't. And then everyone that sees that now has no faith in us as a company.
Trust is important. As soon as you're breaking it, it starts from within.
It's gone.
Yeah, starts from within. Actually, if you you have to commit yourself as a person that you stick to your word. If you stick to your word, sometimes there are no situation. Like right now, for example, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna announce now that I told about, say, Black Friday discount, but I didn't realize that this discount may potentially violate my agreement with the AppSumo. And I'm kind of I puzzled. So right now, just okay. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna tell up front exactly what happened. And I'm gonna say that. So if I cannot give certain things, even if I would, if I wish and I wanted to, but because of it, just violates the agreement. I have to come out and say that.
Yeah.
Now, one more interesting question. So, uniqueness. So every business is today to survive, it have to be unique in something. So unique in the way they portray themselves, who they are. Because today is a winning a competition. You have to be unique in what you're saying and what you're doing. It could be your software, could be your service. That provides some kind of uniqueness. It have to be there. How you deal with that? I mean, how you make a brand and tie up with uniqueness? What would you do? Have you thought about it? I mean, how would you address it?
Right. So for us, our sort of unique offers, because we're focused on brand assets, but for small and medium-sized companies. We don't have the enterprise focus, like large enterprise focus that you see from a lot of our more mainstream, more well-known competitors. And this for us is very important because it helps. We are a small business ourselves, so we understand the struggles that go into this sort of thing. So it helps us connect. And that's something we try to reflect in our branding. So for example, in a lot of our communications, you will see us say, that we understand this unique problem because we developed this product because this was something that we were experiencing issues with. So, but it goes back to sort of what you were just saying before, the authenticity thing, because I think a lot of people sacrifice uniqueness for, or sacrifice authenticity for uniqueness. And I think it's a mistake. You can be both unique and authentic. And I think you always need to consider those two things in balance. So when you're trying to show how unique you are, be honest about it. Take your user journey with you through all of that, like how it is you came to have this unique angle or this unique outlook on things. I think that matters and it helps them understand what it is that they're signing up for. And that's something that we try to do as a company as well. And you really need to understand that being unique does not mean that you have to be just wild and crazy. Be authentic.
Yeah. Be authentic is authentic. Gives us some kind of already perspective of uniqueness there.
And it goes a long way. It really does. And I think just have open and honest communications as you go through the process of developing things like this. It says a lot. And unfortunately, as you just said, a lot of companies and businesses don't consider that. So that would put you.
There are a lot of times that they're trying to see their competitors, they're trying to imitate, and it's just not working.
It doesn't work.
So stay authentic. Stay
authentic.
Yeah.
That's the mission. That's what we're talking about right now. Stay authentic.
And you will develop a brand. Brand takes time also. That it's not just like one day and you got it. Okay, here's my brand. No, the
branding is a conversation, and it's always ongoing. And it doesn't have to be pain in the butt. It is something that you can establish in the culture of your company from the beginning. It's just
culture
about the brand.
Yeah. All right, I think we are pretty much done. So we are just on time, but I think we covered a lot, right?
Yeah, I think so too. This was fun.
I
really. I love talking about branding and building companies.
Yeah, I can see that. This is your passion. This is great. I love when the people are passionate. I'm passionate myself about that, what I'm doing, and I really love to see that in other people.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. I love having these kinds of conversations. So thank you for this.
All right. Thank you very much. And remember, I'll send you send me your available time. I'll set up a one-on-one demo. We're going to go over.
I would love that. Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Allisa.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.